All right, guys, welcome to the first of the month. Let's take a quick look at what happened. So first of the month, usually we have a lot of inflows. And so some of these moves might be outsized and we might see consolidation into these moves next week. But a strong start to the month, nevertheless, with the semis leading the show today and up and still being a leader, up 4% SMH. And you can see the trend is still up ever since we crossed kind of this trend line here. It's just been up and up and up. So do I feel that it is stretched? Yes, but the price action is respecting everything, like it is respecting the 5-day, bouncing off the 5-day, although we are a bit stretched from the 5-day here at about 4%. And you can see when we do get stretched, let's see, this was, so 4% here. So when we do get stretched that much, and this is the index we're talking about, not the individual stocks, there is usually some consolidation that follows. So in SMH, it might wait for the 5-day to catch up. But you can see other than that, it is respecting the 20-day. The 50 days hasn't even had to gotten a chance to come in and needed to support yet. The 20-day is doing its job, which shows that the trend is really strong in SMH. Gold had a decent update here, which was up 3.68%. And it got through yesterday. It had some trouble with the 20 moving average, but today it got through and closed above. Now we've seen that before with a downside continuation. So, a follow through here is important for us to get to the 50 and 200 day. They are pointing down, which means the trend for gold is still down. So only 5 days reversed yet. 20-day hasn't reversed up yet. So this has some work that needs to be done to change the trend here on gold. Now XBI, I was getting a bit frustrated with last week with this huge red candle here on heavy volume, and I was not sure if we're going to close this gap, come down to these VWAPs, or have a deeper pullback. But looks like so far it looks like it was supported by that 5-day, and today it was able to retake that 5-day and some of this the VWAPs as well. So looking good here, XBI. So yesterday was also the end of the month, and usually we do see some weakness end of the month, but today supported that and or the up move. And I would like to see the 99-ish or 100 kind of stay here because the 20-day is a bit lower because of this gap up we had. So it could just be that it is consolidating. You can see this kind of consolidation pattern building out. You can make like a little trend line here. So a break of this could be explosive in XBI and lead to further continuation. So far, trend is still up. TAN was an interesting play. Yesterday got rejected here at the 20-day, but today took that and closed above it. And that is mainly to do with what's happening with TLT. You can see how, TLT has a bit of putting in a bit of an uptrend here, and resolving higher through. There were a lot of moving averages here that were acting as resistance, but it was able to get through it and close above it, which means rates moving lower, which means things like IWM, TAN, IWC, these types of sectors would do well. MDY, these are all interest rate, or at least have been so far, interest rate sensitive sectors. So I'm kind of excited to see that. And another thing I noticed here is the RSI. You can see at the previous lows and these lows, you can see RSI was lower, and then a high, a good divergence on the RSI, pointing to possible strength brewing in TAN. So this gets upgraded to a green. Cyan is a new color that I've started using for so many things that are looking bullish right now, and just the type of market we're in. So cyan is like stuff that high convection stuff. In green is some stuff that is looking good but not high convection yet, right? XLK was consolidating today, had this move up higher. So yeah, looking decent, similar to SMH here, the tech sector. ITB, home construction also resolving higher. You could see, excuse me, the volume picking up here the past 2 days. So a good day, and you can see a sideways consolidation for almost 2 months here, and now resolving higher, being supported by that 5-day. If you want to do ITB, then you would use 5-day as a support, because that is what is supporting it right now. At some point, we might get a retest or a deeper pullback into the 20-day here, but so far looking good. ITB. XME, just not my favorite with all the stuff that is looking much better here. The metals and mining, okay, looks good, was a strong move up, but we have better looking charts out there with less overhead resistance. QQQ getting through that trend line here. Let's just extend it a bit. Using it as support, using the 5-day as support, moving up, and you can see we have some room till the 455 for QQQ to move up, which is the top trend line. And it could keep bouncing around here and still move up. It's not an explosive move up, but this is an index, and that has been outperforming for a while now, and the trend still remains intact. Here was some days where it looked like it was going to break down and start closing some of these gaps, but look at this crazy move up right back into it. And I think this was NVIDIA earnings that did that. So yeah, definitely an interesting market we're in. XLE had a few days of tight consolidation, and today closed above it. So this could move higher. What I see it, if we are able to continue here, we are still at kind of some of the previous highs. Excuse me. Is that, there is some runway here for XLE. So not a bad play, marked in green. It needs to show some follow through tomorrow, but I like that. I like the consolidation here, and the move out of consolidation could be nice. And here, the resistance I see is almost 14% away. So XLE, yeah. IWC is another sector that is marked in green because of the move up in TLT. It is still contesting with some of these previous highs, but you can see how, we were in a sideways pattern, but now moving averages are correcting itself. Trend is resolving higher with 5-day supporting price, 20-day, 50-day moving underneath, pointing up, 200 days starting to point up as well. Looks good to me. The next resistance would be somewhere around here, which would be the 130 mark, and that is, about 8% away, which would be, a decent move for microcaps. IYR, I was surprised with a bit. This was kind of a false move down, and then we had a move up yesterday with a, just a contesting with the 200-day here. But today was a decisive move up, and with heavy volume here in IYR. Definitely interesting. I'm going to mark this in green, possibly even cyan. I like the breakout here in IYR, and the heavy volume here, and the fact that we had 2 months of consolidation and finally breaking out here. And if we want to take a quick look at what it looks like, we do have one point of the yearly value area coming up, which is going to be some resistance. So a point of entry could be just above it, around the 90-91 mark. I would say would be a point to get in, and that could be a kind of a nice $8 play in IYR. Yeah. If we want to look at the monthly, we can see that strong move from the monthly, and you can also see the monthly value area being thinner than usual, also pointing to that 98. So an interesting kind of setup here. 98 would place us another 9% away. You know, similar to IWC, it's a decent look. IWM, you know, with the rates moving down and TLT moving up, could also be a good play. I just don't like it because it's so talked about, and which means there's just so much volatility in it. Although recently it is moving, you know, much better, just being supported by 5-day. I just like to be in things that not a lot of people are talking about, and IWM Russell 2000 is definitely getting a lot of attention right now. So yeah, IWC is a better play. TAN is a better play. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on, XLV, I like it. You know, we predicted that it would come down, give it more time, come down to the 20-day with this up move, and today closing above that 5-day. Tomorrow, tomorrow's a day off, but on next week, if there's continuation here, would be and move above that 5-day would be a good point to get into XLV with that 5-day acting as support. IHI medical devices, you know, came down to the 20-day, and 20-day is very close to 5 days. So I like that. You know, I like that close, you know, two supports being close by. It also shows that move, the move up is slower, which is why both the moving averages are closer together. You know, but we were able to take back that the 5-day today, and supported by that 20-day, which means the trend is still up in IHI, and possibly would break these previous almost a V-shaped. It is a V-shaped recovery, and now a breakout could be. All right. IYZ telecommunications was looking pretty bad for a while. It was supported at that 200-day, and a strong move up today in the sector, although, you know, there's just better looking things out there. 5 days looking lower, 200 days up here, which is going to act as resistance, which is not very far away. So we can put alert here for the break of the 200-day. It also gives time for the moving averages to resolve. Sorry, this might not be the 200-day. It's a 50-day. 200 is where it was supported. But so not red anymore, not looking like a short at this point, but not one of the best sectors here. S&P now. S&P is above. We are above that top trend line. Now, does that mean we're gonna break out? No. It is possible for trend lines to be broken to the downside, but still be respected. This is a good example here, and it does take some time to resolve. It doesn't have to be as immediate as 1 day, but this could kind of try to break out and fail lower and then come back into that. But what this means now, as one of the ways of placing a stop for you could be using this top trend line as that stop, and this is somewhere on the 500 mark currently, 505 mark. So if you want to get into S&P, that would be one way to do it. XLC going through some tight consolidation, looking good. Just give it time for figuring out which way it wants to go. Consolidation does not always mean trend is going to move up. It could be accumulation here or distribution, right? So if it's distribution, then the next move would be lower. It could be a false move lower and then a move up. That could also happen. So you just got to give it time to do its thing. IJT small cap growth. You know, with the rest of the sectors, what they did today, it was definitely not one of the stronger sectors today, but I don't have any complaints here either. Just the fact that it needs to get through these previous highs where it has found rejection. I just don't want it to get rejected again, but not marked in green yet because we are waiting for that breakout. RSP also looking good. No previous resistances here. Now the price is in kind of open area, the price discovery mode. So overhead resistance is quite less, and this would be a nice spot to enter with the 5-day acting as support. XRT also looking really good here ever since that breakout here of consolidation. We have moved 5% here from that breakout level, but you can see that sideways consolidation that we're coming out of. If we take a look over here for XRT, you know, we have a VPOC at 79. On the yearly, that would mean, you know, just getting to 80 and then probably finding some sellers here. So that would be at least the next target here. You know, prices above the previous VPOC level and resolved higher, so it's likely gonna move to that 79, which is only $2 away. So you could kind of consider, if there are better opportunities, you could consider moving into those and positioning yourself into those, because there is some overhead resistance that XRT needs to take care of. Okay, MDY we have been kind of following for a while. It had a VPOC takeout last week, which got sold out of, but you know, that's another, other than the IWM move with the TLT moving higher. MDY is also something that I like, with the assumption that TLT moves higher, and you can see we have just now cleared those previous highs and moving higher. So this could be a good move here in MDY. The markets in cyan. XRT I'm going to downgrade to green just because of all those overhead resistances. And if we look at MDY, you can see a much cleaner chart here. Although the value area is a little bit fatter than the previous one. But you know, not as much overhead resistance, which is what I like to see. XLB is materials. Materials, we are at previous highs, so a breakout of these highs would be, which it looks like we have done in the post market, or it's almost contested with it. But yeah, a breakout here would be what I'd like to see, and that could be also a you know, a great move here. With almost 2 years of consolidation moving behind XLB, that would be definitely something to look at. XLI is still strong and looking good. I marked in cyan above that trend line here. You can use that or the 20-day as support. XLY, consumer discretionary, had this kind of a, zoom in here a bit, this consolidation, and ever since the breakout we have been moving higher here. TLT we went through. IYT is similar to the industrials. We have that breakout of the upper trend line, so you could start, you know, it could start trending up like it has before, yeah, so bullish trend marked in cyan, definitely one of the stronger areas here. XLP, not my favorite, just because of all this mess here. It needs to get through all this mess first before I would start getting interested at all. XLF, looking pretty good. We got through these previous highs. We are consolidating at those. What we'd like to see is a breakout above here and not a fallback, right? So we don't want a false breakout with it resolving lower. What we want to see is that breakout higher. XLF still good, looking good. USD CAD tried to break out here, but it is supported by the 5-day. But you know, all through these two trend lines have just been, you know, a mess. and the price has been stuck between it. But at least now the price is moving higher. But this just means that with US dollar getting stronger is not the best look for stocks. But one thing I got to keep in mind is XLE had a good chart, and Canadian dollar strength depends a lot on oil and on energy. And so with XLE moving higher, I wonder if this will resolve lower. It's just a thesis, not trading advice at all. Actually, any of this, maybe I forgot to say in the beginning, is just for information purposes only. There's no trading advice. Please do not trade based on this. You got to do your own due diligence before investing in stocks. UUP, holding strong here, but what we would like to see is a move lower to give us one more edge on stocks moving higher. XLU, again, it's fine. It's a fine. The chart looks fine, but it's not like with what all the stuff we have going on, which is super bullish and uber bullish in the market. It's just not a place to look at. Utilities is not that, not looking yet ready yet. KRE yesterday was interesting. I thought it was going to break out of this kind of wedge pattern and move higher, consolidated, and today there was some Bank of New York bank, something that news came out, and it almost tried to break down here, but supported. Not the best look. I don't like these breakouts reversing. Although buyers did come in today, we just have better places to put for risk adjusted returns. IBM has a strong look, got through these previous VWAPs from the previous highs. There was that false breakdown here that was supported. So all these things make me feel good about IBM moving higher. We are contesting with some areas that have seen sellers before, but so far a good start to the month. Tesla has just been kind of maddening and been stuck in this freaking sideways consolidation. Quite annoying with the rest of the market ripping. You could play this for, what is that? A 5-6% move, but for the amount of time it's taking for resolving, you could just one day get a gap up into that 210, 215. That's what I feel like would happen after all this consolidation. And then it'll see resistance here. The real move to play would be a move above that 215 into that 300. That would be the real move to wait for. Until then, not a bad place to be, but just better opportunities out there right now. Shop has been kind of weak, and I wonder if it's developing some base here. Some divergence you can think about, but with price just a little bit, you can see how ours is just a bit higher, but not enough to confirm anything here. Just with all this resistance above it, you just wait. It's better to wait for that break of the 81 to get in, because you want to look for those higher risk-adjusted returns, and Shop doesn't look ready yet. Rivian, after that crazy sell-off overdone on earnings with the plant shutdowns and stuff they were talking about, it is being supported by that VWAP level here and the 5-day curling underneath and pointing up. I wonder if it'll try to close some of this gap and move up into that 14 level, but it seems tough. It's a tough one. We do have March 6th or 7th. There's that new car R2 that's being launched. That would be possibly a saving grace for the stock, but at this point, if it loses that VWAP and loses the 5-day, we are looking still 23% lower into the 850 mark, and if you 25% higher into that $14 mark. So I wonder which way it'll go, but definitely if it does not respect the VWAPs here, want to be very careful with this. Um, Axon had an amazing day on earnings, or the day after earnings, consolidated a bit, now ready to move higher. I feel like this has a little bit more room to run. SAI is something that just keeps getting away from me, but it is one of the things I noticed is price moving higher, RSI lower, which is something that is just keeping me a little cautious in this one. And it is a lower volume. Liquidity is not as good, so it could have some gap downs and stuff like that would be hard to manage risk with. So that's one thing. But industrial sector is one of the stronger sectors right now. Equifax is something I was looking at, and yesterday had a really good day. Today gave some of that back, but it is holding that 5-day. So it's still all right. LEN is interesting to me. After a consolidation for 2 months, it looked like it was almost gonna break out yesterday, but wanted to wait for some confirmation. But today was that confirmation. LEN, only thing is earnings coming up for 2 weeks from now. So the way to play this would be for move into earnings, if you want to play that, right? So that would be one way to play it. Let me get rid of all this stuff that we didn't talk about yet. It's just so confusing. Shop is definitely not green. LEN, yeah, looks decent, for move into earnings. Home Depot just keeps going up after that sideways consolidation, just moving higher. Earnings were okay, not the best, but stock wants higher. FND could be a move here, but not confirmed yet. We would wait for a breakout here to see, but price respecting that 5 day is a good first step. WMS, I like that up move on earnings and a sideways consolidation. A breakout here could confirm a possible further continuation here. Now semis, I'm not going to go through. There's just ridiculous. But you could see how AMD had this tight consolidation, and it is on heavy volume, moving and resolving higher. So nothing wrong there. Sideways consolidation after a huge move up. This was all the way from January to February with a false breakout lower, and now consolidating higher, moving higher. It is stretched from that 5 day, but if you want to take NVIDIA as an example, we had a few days that it was stretched, then it comes back into that 5 day. So waiting for that maybe 5 day to catch up, or a little bit of a consolidation, maybe closing this gap around the 193 would be a possible entry point in AMD. One thing, I'm gonna move this up here. ADI, I don't usually like laggards with the rest of the market, the semiconductor moving higher, but look at this. Feb of last year, we had this false breakdown, and now possibly moving higher, resolving higher. It would be something to keep in mind, because semiconductors are moving, in an explosive manner, and if this gets going, then it could really kind of push higher and catch up, play some catch up. And we know that the semiconductor moves have been quite explosive. Dell was a good example today. CINF, another kind of chart that was interesting to me. If we look at what happened here today, we respected the top of monthly, so a break into that monthly would be a no-no here, but I like that it is holding above that yearly value area. There was a VPOC takeout, and a relatively thinner value area with 2-3 years of consolidation behind it. I could just see it, moving higher if the financial space does well. But step number one would be that it holds that 113 here. Okay, I'm going to try to quickly wrap up here. CRISP is just getting sold at that 90 mark. Someone's not ready to push it higher yet. We want to move. We want to wait for that break here at that 90 mark to see when that next up move would be. It would be a strong move up whenever it is, but right now someone has shares that they don't want and they're unloading it at the 90 level. So you just got to respect that and wait for that to happen. BSX just been very, very strong with healthcare, falling apart a bit, testing the moving average, 20-day moving average. This didn't even flinch and let go of the 5-day. So, in an effort to not jinx it, but it's just a strong trend up in BSX. The next strongest I find in healthcare is SYK. Also a decent move today after the check back into the 5-day. With XLV, with a deeper, this is 5-week. We're looking at weekly charts. Yeah, this is 5-week here. Let's take a look at dailies. Daily SYK tested that 20-day, moved up, and took that 5-day again. So, both looking good for a possible entry point and continuation. MRK marked in green before, but could not hold that 20-day, and this is what you don't want to see, with just better opportunities that have more inflow right now. So it looks like it wants to go deeper into that 50-day unless we get a strong day and it takes up that 5-day again. All right, lots of other stocks here, but I think I've overstayed my welcome today. 32 minutes, quite a long video, but it was a bit overdue. So hopefully, I was able to give some perspective on the market. So have a great weekend, and best of luck for March. Let's keep risk in mind, because the market has been up for many weeks now together, and I feel like a lot of people have forgotten how quickly volatility can occur. But yeah, something to keep in mind. We don't know what the catalyst would be yet, but just keep in mind your stops and respect those stops when they do hit. All right, take care.